2009, she seeks a legal marriage to Mr. Elmi. Now in 2002, she couldn't figure out how to file the paperwork. It was too complicated. She didn't want to get married legally. But in 2009, she had no trouble with Mr. Elmi, who at the time was seeking citizenship and at the time seeking student loans that hinged on this marriage. She has no trouble. Now, in 2009, she's living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's right, Ilhan Omar is living in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a district where she now represents. But she moved to Fargo, North Dakota. With her new husband. Newlyweds, they move out of town. What could be better than Fargo, North Dakota?
We should add that they were attending North Dakota State University, and records were actually requested through an investigation I conducted, but the university cited FERPA in their decision to not release a lot of these records. But Ilhan Omar attended North Dakota State University along with this man, Elmi.
And she moves with her newlywed husband, at least on paper, to Fargo, North Dakota. But guess who moves with her? Into the same house. The ex-husband who she just got a divorce from. What could be better than that? It's all in public records, bank records, utility bills, you name it, and the mainstream media failed to do a basic LexisNexis search and dig up these documents. In the same way that they failed to hold Ilhan Omar's feet to the fire when the Associated Press, you know those right-wing guys at the Associated Press? They asked Ilhan Omar for a list of her siblings. Seems like a pretty basic request.
But, you know, by now I would just add, you should see this belongs more on Saturday Night Live than network news. This is blatant violations of immigration laws at levels that are just incomprehensible.
Well, and student loan fraud too, because he was also.
We got to take this chronologically here, Laura. So she moves to North Dakota. They didn't like their first house, so they moved to another house. The ex-husband came with them again.
Right.
The ex-husband came with them again. Very unusual. Very unusual. Here's a picture of Ilhan Omar and Elmi in 2013 in London at the time that they were visiting their mutual nieces, her brother, Mr. Elmi.
Who is a British citizen.
A British citizen. So here's the deal. In short, Ilhan Omar claims that she engaged in a spiritual divorce to her first husband. There's no record of that ever taking place. There's no witnesses of that ever taking place. And we went to the Somali community in Minnesota and asked them. And I must say, the Somali community in Minnesota deserves a lot of credit for helping with this investigation. They were brave, they came forward, they saw something, and they said something. Furthermore, in 2011, Ilhan Omar gets married to the original husband again. What are the odds? Another spiritual divorce and another marriage to the original husband, the father of her two kids. She doesn't formalize that marriage until 2017, and she pays a law firm to do it with her campaign funds, ends up paying a $2,200 fine, all laid out in this report. You are not going to find a single inaccuracy in this report. She remarries him, but doesn't formalize it until 2017, and doesn't formalize the divorce to her brother until 2017.
And one of the most egregious parts about this, right, are these details that you're hearing about her saying that she was going to divorce him and that he moved back to the UK and that she remarried her cultural husband, whatever that means. This was all available to the media. And if you recall, I traveled to Minnesota 7 months ago and I loomered Ilhan Omar at her campaign event. And when I loomered her, I asked her, I said, Ilhan, why did you marry your brother? Why did you commit immigration fraud? You know, that's a crime here in the United States. Why do you hate Jewish people so much? And the media, ranging from The Hill, The Daily Beast, the Star Tribune, all the media that covered the story said that my claims were unfounded. But as you can see, the evidence outlined in the reports and the evidence that we have obtained that is available online through many of my investigative reports shows that these claims are in fact very valid.
The evidence is right in front of us. She didn't marry her brother romantically. She did so to defraud the United States of America. Yep. It's all laid out in the report. But we wanted to give Congresswoman Omar a chance to clear this all up. We wanted to give her a chance to go on record and tell the American people in a sworn statement, a sworn affidavit under penalty of perjury, that she never married her brother or any other of her siblings, because who knows what else she did with other family members. We went to her home. We found that the home listed on all of her campaign documents was abandoned. Not one piece of furniture inside, absolutely, completely vacant. She doesn't live there. We then went to her district office,
which we called ahead of time before visiting.
The phone number at her district office was disconnected. By the way, we called her DC office and they told us she was in town working out of the district office. The district office had an L bracket on the door and it was screwed shut. The district office is non-existent. Ilhan Omar doesn't have a district office, and by all indications, she doesn't live in Minneapolis. So this is a pattern of fraud and lies and deceit by Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. And what we're calling for today is, as Ilhan Omar just last Saturday spoke to a man who called for genociding Jews, spoke right alongside him at a group called Islamic Relief, and then on Monday received a classified briefing, we are calling for her to today step down from the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and by the end of the week, step down from Congress altogether. We cannot have someone in Congress who conspired and indeed did defraud the United States, and that's exactly what she did. I want to open it up for questions in a second, but any closing remarks?
I would say all of you, we will count on, our press are always partners in these things, and we would ask all of you, please bring this to the attention of the speaker and the leader, and they should have no choice but to commence an expulsion hearing quickly.
All right, so let's go ahead, Laura.
The reason why I'm wearing this hat today is because both Jacob Wohl and I have been permanently banned from Twitter after posting our investigative findings about Ilhan Omar. I was permanently banned on November 21st after I said that Ilhan Omar was pro-Sharia and anti-Jewish. Two things that are now completely true, right? She's speaking, like Jacob said, for Islamic Relief. She's going to be speaking to CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is a designated Islamic terrorist organization. So I am demanding that Jack Dorsey immediately reinstate the Twitter accounts of both myself and Jacob Wohl because we posted factual information about Ilhan Omar, and we have been targeted as Jewish conservatives, Jewish Trump supporters, Jewish investigators and journalists who are reporting on this corrupt, anti-American, pro-Islamic terror, fraudulent individual known as Ilhan Omar, who needs to immediately resign from Congress.
All right, I want to open it up to questions from the press and the public. The public's free to ask questions as well. All right, questions from the public or the press?
It's for release.
It's for release. This is hereby released. You can post it. And by the way, we're answering questions about the report.
Jacob.
Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, have either of you talked to the FBI or other law enforcement about the Mueller press conference?
We're finished with that, and no, we haven't talked to anybody.
This is about Ilhan Omar.
Go ahead.
Why should anybody believe you when you told lies about Mr. Mueller?
Any other
you guys
questions?
Should be throwing yourselves at the mercy
Right here.
of this
You told
investigation.
USA Today that you spread disinformation, so why should we believe anything?
No. I told USA Today that I'm going to stop whoever the Democratic nominee is at all costs using social media, and I stand by that.
We're banned for artificially inflating your Twitter following.
Anybody else? Any other questions? And does anybody else need the report before we go?
We would really appreciate some questions on the substance of this. I mean,
Yeah.
you can.
Will Sommer from the Daily Beast, who is constantly writing hit pieces about both Jacob and myself. Do you have anything to say about the anti-Jewish congresswoman who married her brother?
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything to say?
Go ahead.
The woman who is on a committee in Congress, and she's siding with terrorists, okay? She has relations with pro-Islamic terrorists. And I think what Jacob is doing, he's just trying to call attention to a situation.
Apparently the people agree with us, because right here we have a petition with 200,000 signatures from Americans that said it's time for Ilhan Omar to step down from the House Foreign Affairs Committee.
Will you be delivering those to Congress?
We will be. We have plans to deliver these to Congress.
Will be delivered to the Speaker. We're also going to inform very shortly today Homeland Security about all of our findings, DHS.
DHS has been made aware of our findings.
Dan, question?
Do you plan on delivering this information, all the facts and evidence, to the DOJ?
That's right. We are working on that. It has been reported to the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah, I am in touch with Department of Homeland Security, and I have requested the immigration records of Elmi, and they were a bit resistant at first. I can, publish those documents later so you all can see that there is an active
Right back
attempt
here
to cover
next.
up this information.
Oh, yeah. What this gentleman back here asked about is our visit to the district, whether she's popular, what people think about her there. And I will tell you this. We went into the Somali community that she represents, and most people were very, very nice to us. We ate at Somali restaurants. People offered to help us out. People offered to show us the way, and they were very, very helpful. The lion's share of these folks. And they are gravely concerned that they have a congresswoman who, by all indications, married her brother. And by the way, I will tell you this. Every single Somali person that I spoke to there confirmed that these rumors are true according to people they talked to in the community. Now, this isn't by any means talking to people anecdotally. It's not smoking gun evidence, but we've got the smoking gun evidence right here in the form of public records, in the form of lies and deceit on her part, and in the form of time after time after time. She's married to this man, but she lives with her ex-husband, who she has children with, and they share the same siblings, and they share the same father. I think that's the most damning piece of evidence.
What you'll find is,
You've done several of these investigations before. You've attracted a lot of publicity, but you haven't panned out.
Well, I'll tell you. Jack Burkman and I just recently investigated Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax in Virginia, and we offered a $20,000 bounty for information leading to his resignation. And at the end of the day, we talked to many sources, and we came out and said that the allegations against Justin Fairfax just aren't credible, and that they are not. So we're not just out to do hit jobs on people. We're out to find the truth.
Yeah.
And in this case, I think we have found
you will find,
the complete
I
truth.
challenge anyone to find 1 ounce of conjecture, speculation, or politics in this report. You will not find it. There is no politics in this.
And mind you also, this has been an ongoing investigation, that the media helped cover up last year. When I was on the ground in Minnesota and I was publishing my findings about Ilhan marrying her brother and confronted her to her face, I was promptly banned from Twitter after I posted about Ilhan Omar following her election victory. So,
and then we later learned that CARE ended up lobbying Twitter to remove Laura.
And CARE has endorsed Ilhan Omar's campaign, and she's going to be their keynote speaker in March in Los Angeles. So why is a designated Islamic terrorist organization lobbying with Twitter, an American social media company, to ban a Jewish American conservative journalist who is exposing the anti-Semitism, the fraud, and the terrorism ties that Ilhan Omar has? It's egregious.
Is it just you don't like reviews, so you're looking for something?
It's not that I don't like her views.
She married her brother and she defrauded the United States.
It's not that I don't like her views. Are you aware that CARE, I don't know why this is so difficult for members of the press to admit and come to terms with, but the Council on American Islamic Relations is a designated terrorist organization.
Support anti-Semitism. Is that what you're saying?
I want to just say thank you so much, because I've been following you for years, and you called this about 3 years ago, if not longer.
Exactly.
And I will tell you, you are the only one who's been speaking up about this, and I'm so proud of the work that you are doing, because there are so many of us who don't know what to do, and myself included, as being a very proud Jew.
Exactly.
Proud female Jew.
Well, thank you.
I just want to say thank you, but I want to get involved as well, because you're the only one. You really are the only one, and I just feel that
she refused to provide a copy of her siblings to the AP, and the AP said that's fine. They said that's fine with us. We don't have to go there.
Right.
The anti-Semitism that is going on.
Well, you're right, and as a result of my my DMing investigations into these individuals, and Jacob can attest to this, I am being deplatformed by not only Twitter. I've been banned by Uber, by Lyft, by PayPal, by Venmo, by GoFundMe, by Twitter, by Medium, and just last week I was in a cab and Chase deactivated all my cards and they closed my bank account temporarily. So if you guys don't think that the attack on free speech is real and that it's directly coordinated with this anti-Semitic, pro-Islamic terror movement to ban and silence anybody who speaks out about individuals who are tied to Sharia, who promote Sharia, people like Ilhan Omar, you need to wake up, you guys. You need to wake up.
Listen, if any Republican had gone down to Islamic Relief and spoken alongside someone who called for the genocide of Jews, they would be run out of office so quickly it would make your head spin. Congressman Steve King made a sloppy remark in the New York Times, and he was promptly removed from every committee seat that he had. Ilhan Omar sits on the Foreign Affairs Committee as we speak and receives classified briefings on U.S. national security. This is a woman who has called for getting rid of DHS, not just ICE, but the entire Department of Homeland Security.
She wrote a letter to a judge asking for him to give lenient sentencing to ISIS terrorists, men accused of joining ISIS.
Right there. I'm not familiar enough with the Steve King remarks to comment right now.
Did you get any
Go
feedback
ahead.
from law enforcement? Did DHS or anybody else actually respond to?
Without violating confidences,
well,
I will
DHS,
tell
yes,
you.
they replied to me.
Without violating confidences, I can tell you that law enforcement has been very good on this. They've been very helpful, and I think they're on top of it. And I'll say this: there might be a very good reason why Ilhan Omar wants to abolish the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah.
I challenge everyone here to find one thing, and this is a challenge. I'll throw down the gauntlet and the glove right now. Find one thing in this report with which you disagree. The glove is down.
Did you make a similar challenge with the Mueller report?
We're here to talk about Congresswoman Omar.
Well, there is a good point though there. So Caroline Cass is saying Jacob made it all up and.
Well, we're here to talk about Congresswoman Omar. Right back here.
Is there one thing in this report with which you disagree?
Asterisk DNA test. Would you support Ilhan Omar taking a DNA test to prove she didn't marry your brother?
Say it again.
Go ahead. I would. I think that would be a tremendous idea. I think Ilhan Omar should take a DNA test, but she's not going to. She refused to even provide a list of her siblings to the Associated Press. She's not going to take a DNA test.
Let me offer a bold proposition here. Rather than focus on the messenger, focus on the facts. We put the facts on the table. Is there anything with which you disagree?
How did you get the signatures?
What do we got?
We have now, last time I checked, and they're printed out right here, over 200,000 signatures, the fastest growing petition in the history of change.org, to remove Congresswoman Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee. That's how many signatures we got, and it was a clear referendum that we needed to investigate. We needed to find out what else was going on with this rogue congresswoman, and I think that's what we did today.
And even Donald Trump himself has called for Ilhan Omar to resign. So just keep that in mind, you know? Keep that in mind. This is a woman who was even asked to apologize for her egregious behavior by Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. So, you know,
Just today, she was interviewed in The Intercept and refused to apologize again. This is an unrepentant, incorrigible anti-Semite that we're dealing with in Congress, and she sits on the Foreign Affairs Committee.
right. She is an anti-Semite.
Loomer and Wohl.
Any other final questions from the public, from the press, before we go?
You have another protest at Twitter HQ.
Yes, I plan on doing a lot of things. A lot of these big tech executives are going to be getting Loomered soon, so you'll just have to stay tuned. You know, as you know, my protest in which I handcuffed myself to the front door of Twitter headquarters in New York City was tremendous. It was the #1 trending topic on Twitter. I didn't even have a Twitter account. I out-trended the President of the United States and Putin, so you can expect a lot more of this.
And Loomer is now a verb. I would point out Webster's has taken it as a verb.
What about protesting with Linda Sarsour speaking at NYU?
Yeah, well, Linda Sarsour will definitely be getting Loomered in the near future. Let me just say this. Anybody who is anti-American, pro-Islamic terror, and anti-Jewish and poses a threat to our national security is going to get Loomered. And anybody in our government who is allowing this to take place and not speaking out and condemning it, or anybody in big tech corporations like Twitter and Facebook and PayPal, which are enabling this disgusting behavior, they can all expect to get Loomered.
Absolutely.
I mean, we say to the House Democratic leadership and every Democrat in the House, look, this woman is a liability for you. There are clear violations of laws. Expel her, because all this is going to do to House Democrats is derail their agenda this year.
The Democrats in the House are going to have to decide, and this is going to be our final remark here. The House Democrats are going to have to decide, are they going to look at this report and fact check it and say, Congresswoman Omar married her brother to defraud the United States, and thus she must be removed from Congress? Or are they going to read this report and fact check it and say, Congresswoman Omar engaged in a conspiracy to defraud the United States, and we're okay with it? That's what they're going to have to decide. That's the ultimatum, and we'll see what they want to do. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If anyone needs a copy, I have a few more here. I know it looks like there's some empty hands.
Oh, hi.